Please, point of clarification, the pastor would like the other version of the song.
That's Limehouse Station. That's the DLR.
Christmas, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. What other places have you been in London?
I went to Buckingham Palace.
Okay.
St. James Park.
Yes, St. James, yeah. We've been Buckingham Trafalgar Square.
Yeah, Trafalgar.
Yeah.
Square. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Have you been somewhere called Westminster Palace?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Westminster Abbey.
Yeah.
I saw the Big Ben.
I saw Big Ben.
That's about it. That's all I've done.
Yeah. When it comes to like New Year's Eve, do you have fireworks on your famous buildings? Like, so
For free? Video now.
why did you put the church with people in there?
Yep. All the people.
You should take the church lastly. Yes. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so.
So I just got home from church and I got to say that today was such an interesting day from start to finish. So I woke up around 8:45 supposedly is when I woke up. And my plan was to be out, which means like outside waiting for the bus at around 10:30. What happened was I didn't leave my house until like 10:45, 10:50, and I still didn't know what bus I was gonna catch, so that took out some time. But anyways, I asked someone at the center for my dorm, the main center, and then he told me where there's a bus stop next to the grocery store. Sainsbury's in front of Sainsbury by the gas station. So I walked there, and as I got there, the bus number that I was supposed to catch, the bus had just passed. So buses come, at least for that bus, every 10 minutes. So I had to wait 10 more minutes to catch that bus. And so by that time it was 11:05. Once I'm on the bus, it's about 16 stops until my destination, which was the church. And it's supposed to take 1 minute to get to each stop, so about 60 minutes to get to church. I got there in about 60 minutes, so 11:30 is when I rolled up in the church. An usher greeted me at the door, and he was like, "Oh, are you a visitor?" I guess he heard my accent, and I was like, "Yes." And I signed the guest book that you usually sign if you're a visitor at church. Well, sometimes they get you to sign a book, so I signed that book. And then And then service was not yet, like divine hour didn't start yet, so I wasn't too late, but the church was packed already, and I couldn't find a seat. So I told the usher, like, is there any open seats? Like, where can I find an open seat? And so he told another usher, and I was ushered into this row in between these two ladies, and I sat there. For the service went by quick. They sang like one hymn for song service. The platform personnel were up. They did the call to worship, the offering, the intercessory prayer, and then special music and preaching. Quick. Throughout that whole time, no one said a word to me. And I'm a visitor, so I was expecting someone to say good morning or good afternoon or happy Sabbath or anything. Hello. No one said anything to me. And I really didn't like that, only because this past summer I spent it in Cincinnati, and when I got to that church, everyone was so welcoming. And the one in Cincinnati, that church was huge. Like, the church building itself is big, but also the membership. This church, the church itself the building is small. Well, not too big, but the church members are a lot. And I was really disappointed that no one had reached out to me and made me feel welcome. There's no greeting either. So I decided that I wanted to eat lunch after church because I didn't prepare any dinner or lunch yesterday to eat today. So I asked the lady who was sitting next to me, like, "Hey, is there lunch after church?" And she was like, "Usually, sometimes, but not today." And I was like, "Okay." And then she was like, "Oh, you're a visitor?" And I said, "Yes." And I explained to her that I was from New York City, I'm visiting a student. And she was like, "You know what? You can come over to my mom's house, because they're British, for lunch." And I was like, at first, she said that she couldn't go because she had to visit her dad in the hospital. So I was like, "I understand, you can just take me home." But at the last minute, she was like, "You know what? You're a college student, I need to feed you, let's go." So, I went to her house, or her mom's house, and this is a pretty house, so nicely decorated. Her mom's food was amazing. Her sister and his wife and their daughter, and then the lady and her husband and their two children were with me. We all ate together with the mom there, and it was just such a family event. I felt welcomed at that time. And then we went back to AY in the afternoon, and it was a nice service. Pretty much they put 4 youth on a panel, and the congregation could ask them any questions that they had about, like, the youth experience. It was mainly older people who were asking these questions, but stuff like, how do you feel about church, or like, have you ever felt like leaving the church, or do you pray, or how do you feel about holding hands and kissing before marriage, that type of stuff. And it was really nice that I like that program, the idea of interviewing and hearing what young people have to say and hearing their honest answers, because a lot of times youth feel like young adults don't try to hear them out and stuff like that, and it's just like this weird division in the church. But I really like this program, though it was a bit long. I did still enjoy it. Afterwards, they had a fitness aerobics thing, and the ladies who invited me to lunch, her husband was in charge of it, and she was busy with something else, so she couldn't take me home, and I was pretty much stranded there. And I was gonna take the bus, but I talked to a young person there who finally reached out to me. Finally, someone reached out to me besides me reaching out to the lady, and he was saying how, there's this lady who can take me home, and she ended up taking me home after spending 20 minutes having a meeting with someone. But I got home, here I am, and it was an interesting day. The church service itself was okay, not much singing. I didn't see too many young people, but I am gonna shop around and visit other churches and see which one I like the best, because apparently there's a lot of Seventh-day Adventist churches around. But yeah, so that was my Sabbath.